tested everything and got it going.
Did you want me to read the prayer?
No, don't worry.
Oh, okay, okay.
I would just say, as long as you're going to do this, just go with it.
All right, brother, we are live, and Marla, all you're going to do is click this right here and stream. That's it. And worst case scenario is text me. I know someone can come over and knock it all over.
I can handle it.
All right.
I can handle that.
We good to go?
Go ahead,
Good to
Chris.
go. Hi. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. My name is Chris Barella. I am a student intern with St. Edward's University in their Masters of Counseling program. Currently, I work with Catholic Charities Counseling Department in Austin, Texas. And I also work, primarily I work with families, couples, young children, adolescents, doing therapy. I also work with the Salvation Army and the Arch homeless shelters downtown Colorado Springs. The work I do there is more case management, counseling, crisis intervention, working with homeless population, persons with disabilities, persons coming, re-entering from the prison systems. So that's kind of just a little bit of my background. As I'm sure all of you noticed, this is quite of an upheaval of what's happened this year. And there's been a lot of concern about the effects that it's having on our children, okay? Right now, my children are all 22, 24, 27, 30 years old. I forget how they are. And they've all grown up. They've done their things, but it's still, the COVID has totally affected their lives. A couple lost their jobs. Even myself, I'm working at home. So the upheaval it affected everybody. What we sometimes tend to forget is how does it affect the kids? Because we're trying to piece together everything that's happened, and the children really get affected. And I would imagine everybody listening out there, you probably have young ones, or a lot of you might have young ones under the age of 18. Right now, a lot of kids are just starting to get back into school. They're starting to actually go to live classes. A lot of them are still working from home, video. And we've all heard the stories. Some are kind of funny on the internet. You know, you see the teacher go offline, and it's funny what the children do by themselves in their rooms. But it's also causing a lot of concern. And that's kind of why I'm here, just to talk about that and how it affects people. So if you think about beyond just what COVID does as far as getting people sick, there's, in many young people's minds, there's a social, emotional, mental well-being that's being highly impacted by the pandemic. And I'm not trying today to paint a doom and gloom scenario that everything's bad, but just pointing out when there's radical shifts in habits and lifestyles, people start to feel more anxious, and they start to feel a little depressed, especially young ones. You'll see them feeling withdrawal. So, you know, when people experience trauma at this developmental stage, it really does affect their lifespan, and it can affect them for years. So that's kind of what we want to talk about. I don't know how many of you know, when this first started, I remember, and I'm just trying to paint a picture of how odd this can be for everybody involved. When this first happened, I remember going to a grocery store. It's probably like a week after. And I walked in the door, and it's the first time I had put on a mask. And I'm walking around the store, and everybody's got a mask on, and there's this panic look on their face. It was kind of, I'm an adult, it's scary. It scared me. And I remember hearing above just announcements. There was no music to walk to. It was announcements going, keep your mask on, walk this certain way, you know, stay 6 feet away from people. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, this is like some dystopian future. What happened, you know? So we're in a panic already. What tends to happen, so as a family, I like to look at the family as a system. It's a big system, okay? And when that system gets affected by anything, when one member of the family, maybe the adult who's at the grocery store and sees this and panics, when they go home, that panic then does affect everybody else. Everybody in the family will be affected by what's going on. So especially children. Children are especially vulnerable because they have a tendency to mimic our patterns. They hear everything. They will notice when you're upset. They can tell visually when something's going on. And so that's one key indicator at the beginning of why are kids now feeling a deeper sense of sadness, depression, withdrawal. You'll notice some of the, you might notice excessive crying or irritation. Some of the big ones, excessive worry or sadness. I've experienced that with some of the clients I'm working with currently and some of my colleagues and what they've experienced. I was speaking with some administrators here at the school, and they've said they've experienced the same thing. There's a lot of behavioral issues with the children. Especially coming back to school has been an issue. They don't know how to handle it. Some kids are, I want to come back. Some children are like, I want to stay home. And so they feel they're being pulled after the longest summer vacation ever. So that can cause a lot of problems. There's unhealthy unhealthy eating and sleeping habits that are being noticed a lot. Again, the kids are home all day. We've noticed a lot of the families, the children are eating in their rooms. They spend most of their time in their rooms. So you would think being all at home together would be more of an ability to bond, and it can be, and we want to show you how to do that. But what a lot of the times happens is we end up separating a little bit more than usual. Again, children are eating alone. A lot of the parents have to go back to work, so the kids are staying home. They're doing a lot of the things they normally wouldn't do, and a lot of it becomes isolation. Of course, the way kids communicate now is through the phone and the internet, and that's understandable. That has begun to increase too. And with that comes along the fear of fear. What they're seeing on the internet, that's what's driving a lot of their fears is the narrative that's being put out there. So it scares them. So it's building up. And in this big circle, this big family system, just the little things, when one family member is going out and not feeling so good, the others will experience this. In the middle, we're trying to maintain this homeostasis, but it gets affected. A lot of the way people think sometimes is very linear. You know, if one person's being affected, it doesn't affect the other. Johnny's hurting, but the sister's fine, and mom and dad's fine. Typically, that's not the issue. Everybody will feel the effect. We've noticed a poor school performance. That, a lot of you might have noticed this with your children's grades. Now, it's very difficult from some of the kids I've spoken to be online and to really get anything out of it. I do meetings every morning. I work from home, and I've noticed just being online, our morning meetings are very difficult to pay attention. You got surroundings, you got things going on, your dog's barking, life is happening, you're at home, you may have children, and it can become a problem. So even myself, I've noticed, I was just mentioning to a colleague that I've started to experience sadness and some depression and feeling low and wondering what is going on? Why am I feeling this pain too? It's because we're socially isolated, and it's just not normal. It's very abnormal for people to be that alone and isolated all the time. Difficulties with attention and concentration. That's another big one. So in the schools, they're noticing a lot of kids aren't turning in their homework. A lot of kids, especially in high school, they may have the option to log in. They can just do their work online. And that creates a lot of problems because the teachers aren't able to physically be there and instruct them. So they're essentially teaching themselves. Not everybody, but some of the students I've worked with are I just read the book, I turn the assignment, and go forward. And what's ended up happening is they are starting to feel or fail their classes. They're not learning anything. And then this leads to sadness and depression. Real quick, I just want to let's talk about the difference between sadness and depression. This is really important. Everybody experiences sadness, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed. It's actually normal and somewhat good for you in a way. It protects us, it helps us from things that may cause danger to us. So those reactions are good. Irritableness, anxiousness, worried, lack of interest in activities, mood, appetite, and sleep. When it becomes a little more dangerous and severe, and you start experiencing more depression, is when it's persistent and it lasts longer. Typically, if you see your children experiencing being down, irritableness, anxiousness for an extended period of at least 2 weeks, that's a sign that there's some major depression coming on. And then this is the time that's really, some people aren't catching, but this is the time that, yes, they would probably need to maybe see their medical doctor, or we would recommend that they maybe see a therapist to try to understand what's going on. So that happens a lot. Again, sadness, depression, these things are very normal, but when it's an extended period of time, if you see it for like a couple of weeks, that they're really isolating themselves. They're not talking anymore. They don't want to eat with anybody anymore. They maybe don't want to go back to school. They're not going to do their work. They stay in bed a lot. Those are really good signs that severe depression is really starting to kick in, and it's a little more serious than just being sad. So something to keep an eye out for. Use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. That is also an issue, and we've seen that too. Again, you're alone all day. There's a little more experimentation that's happening with some of the adolescents that we're seeing. So something to keep an eye on as well. With everything that's happened this year, especially, and I've noticed it with the adolescents, the teenagers, with the civil unrest that happened, a lot of them are experiencing that anxiety on top of COVID as well. So that's not helping at all. We've seen adolescents who may have attended a rally, and it caused them to feel a euphoria, but also confusion, depression, sadness, scared. They were frightened. It was almost traumatic. A couple of them that I spoke to, it was a traumatic experience to see everybody screaming and yelling. So combine that with COVID, being at home, the responses that we hear out in the public, what it's about, the confusion. This is what's really driving a lot of the problems that we're seeing. So something to keep an eye on. And again, just to reemphasize the difference between sadness and depression. If you see it lasting for a couple of weeks, that's a sign that you may need to try to seek out some medical help from their general practitioner, or to see maybe a therapist, a counselor. Okay? So how do we address this? This is the hard part. And it could be the easy part. You know, I like to read this. Remember that children react to both what you say and how you say it. They pick up cues from other conversations you have with them and others. They're like sponges, so they mimic behaviors. Okay? So what we want to do is try to reassure the children, reassure them you are safe. Talking to them, being present with them. Make yourself available, talk. Let them know they can come to you when they have questions. Because right now, when children isolate a lot, they don't think that. They tend to go into this bubble, and in their mind, they can't reach out to others. They don't know how. It's an odd, strange time, so they go to what they know, which maybe they're comfortable with their phone or on their internet or playing games, and that's where they find comfort. A lot of the adolescents I spoke to, you know, we ask them, why don't you go hang out with your family? And it's like, oh, why would I do that? You know, I have everything I need here. I have the computer, I have games, and that's understandable behavior. I get that. If I was a teenager, I would probably do the same thing. The problem is it's hard to pull them out of that, and especially when it's, okay, now it's time for school. So this is a whole nother shift in that family. So that circle, that system I described as the family, and we're trying to maintain that homeostasis. Now kids got to go back to school, okay? So now they're going back to school, total shift. It's odd to them. And as parents, we may think, yeah, go back to school, do your thing. We don't think twice about it. To a child, it's in a normal year, it's already stressful enough to go into a school, meet new kids. You know, you got your new clothes, you're starting sports. Now, there's that uncertainty. There's the delay in school. We got to wear masks. We're separated from each other. There's a lot of rules. And most importantly, there's the fear of the unknown, because there's a lot of confusion. You know, will I be infected by this? They're worried about their families. It's another thing. Even the young kids that I'm working with, there's a fear that they will somehow harm their own family members, their own parents, their own brothers and sisters. Deep confusion. So again, how do we help them with those issues? And a lot of it is validating what your child's saying. Validate their feelings. Yes, you feel sad about this, and let's talk about this. It's hard to explain it away, but it's better to let them explain it to you and to really validate what they're saying and to help them engage with you, and you'll see a lot more production. Avoid language that might blame others and lead to stigma. Now, that's a big thing that's going on with the outside world. And a lot of the kids are seeing that. There's a lot of blame going on. This person's at fault. This person's at fault. This person's right. This is the way we should do this. Again, adding to the problem. So in the home, validate. Avoid blaming one another. Avoid blaming others. Just focus on the issue and what's going on in your system at that time. Really start to pay attention to what your children are seeing and hearing. Get involved in what they're doing. Sit down with them maybe during school, try to understand what they're learning. Even with their games that they're playing. What are they doing in their room? If they refuse to go out and eat, join them in their room for dinner. Somehow engaging with the kids at all times, as much as you can. Pay attention to the children as much as you possibly can. Be truthful and appropriate to the situation going on. That's happening. Have the kids talk about some of the stories that they're experiencing. That's real important. What are they experiencing? We all know what we experience, and the adults know everything, and there's the news, and they tell us what's right and what's wrong, but it's what are our kids experience? What are they experiencing in the classrooms? What are our teachers experiencing? How difficult is it for them to be able to teach these kids? Everybody's being affected by this. What are they seeing on social media? What are they looking on the internet? Not saying that you have to over-involve yourself, but ask the question. Be a little more involved. Let them explain it to you. Let them show you their world. So we don't want to, penetrate their world, but let them show you their world and what they're experiencing. I think what's really important also is try to keep your routines set. Okay, this, if it's spiritual, if it's going to church, if it's working out, if it's how you wake up in the morning, it's, try to establish that normal routine that you've always had and try to maintain that routine. When there's a lot of switching around in that system, it becomes chaotic, okay? If there's not enough switching around, if we're just trying to maintain the status quo without realizing, there's somebody may be feeling a little upset, then it becomes too rigid. So just try to go with the flow. See what they're experiencing. Again, this goes back to spending time with your child or teen. I'm sure we all do. But in this time, it's a little more important. Read to them, do activities with them, Set time during the day to talk with your children. What activities are they interested in? Going out, just taking a walk, very important. One thing I love to do is have people journal. So in journaling, as a family, is really important. It's really great. So an idea might be everybody sit down together during the day, write a paragraph or whatever you want, expressing how you feel that day, what you experience, what it was like, good or bad. And then maybe at dinner time, have everybody share those experiences. What was your day like? What did it feel like? What were you experiencing? And they may want to share, they may not want to share. But the point is, eventually, they're all coming back together as that family system. We're trying to pull everybody from their rooms, essentially, and become that unit again. So let's look at some other ways to help children and teens develop self-care skills. This is really neat. Again, activities. Parents, you can help your kids create a self-care plan. So my boss, Renee Brown, wrote up these great self-care plan basics. I'd like to just go over with you real quick. Building relationships, creating a plan on your relationships. Again, finding creative ways to spend time with your family, with your pets, doing kind things for one another. Those are kind of some great ideas. Being loving towards one another. Emotional, this is a great one. Crying with one another. What a powerful thing it is to see somebody actually release that emotion and cry. And it's amazing how many children you see in therapy that's the first thing that they want to do. You can see the emotion building up, and if they feel that trust, it will come out. And it's a beautiful experience because it really relieves them. At the end of it, their description is, I feel like I let the world finally off my chest. All this stuff has been worrying me. It got off my chest, and it feels better. It doesn't make it go away, but it was at least one release that they could have. So encourage that. Find things that make you smile. Find things that make you laugh together. Read for fun. Psychological self-care plan basics. Again, draw, journal, write, do art together. Art therapy is wonderful. Have your kids, if they're experiencing some emotions, they can't get them out, have them draw a picture. Tell me what you're feeling. What is it like? Draw a picture. If that's the way they can express themselves. Maybe they want to sing. Maybe they want to dance. Something to release that energy and a way of communicating to you how they may feel. So those are some other options. Great. Music's a wonderful way to brings kids' emotions out. I love doing that. Pick your favorite song, listen to it. What does that mean to you? And then you will see the floodgates start to open up. Well, it means this. It makes me feel sad. It made me think about what happened 3 months ago. Now you're opening up those avenues, and you can start talking about them and start the healing process. So I love that. Poetry, lyrics to songs, painting and drawing. I love this one, Renee, but sit in the sunshine. Vitamin D. Wow, we're in the house constantly. Great idea. Just literally walk out to the park and just sit down in the grass. If you can do that, if you can make time with your family, very helpful. Very, very helpful. It's kind of sad sometimes because you see the kids in their rooms, and typically the room's very dark. They're just, you can tell they just kind of rolled out of bed or whatever. It's their room, it's their space, but it's what they're experiencing all day long. So yeah, get them out, get them to the sunshine, have some fun with that. School, homeschool. Try to have breakfast, lunch, if you can, snacks with your kids, or allow them to, if you're homeschooling, maybe have more than one recess period. Get them out of the home. Offer them rest breaks. Allow them to stretch, move around. Get out of that chair. It becomes very exhausting. like I said, we do this all day long. I do meetings in the morning, and you kind of tend to lose attention. I think it's about an hour I can go, and then my eyes start rolling in the back of my head, and I need to get out. So consider that as well. Spiritual, daily prayer. Children may need to learn how to pray if that's what you do with your family and in your home. Pray for others, teaching your children to pray for other families, showing that compassion part of them, teaching them that empathy part of their lives. Connect with nature, taking walks, attend Mass as a family. I just went to Mass today at St. Helens, right? And it was a neat experience. It was packed. There's a lot of people. I happened to be in the overflow room, and a lot of families together. It was really neat to see. It was almost like it was normal again. You know, children are running around, and parents are trying to grab their kids, and but it was neat finally seeing, wow, everybody's back together. Families are acting like families again. Yes, we all got masks on, but we're trying to adjust. So that's really neat. Really promote hope and optimism. Sing songs, learn biblical stories, whatever you want to do in that spiritual realm that feels good for you guys. Physical. So let's talk. This is really neat, and I love this. Is being able to do physical activities as a family. Riding bikes, something that exerts a little bit of energy. Singing, dancing, movement. Like having your kids, like I said, open up a song and do a dance to it, or express how that makes them feel. Those are wonderful things to do. Quiet time, resting, naps. Again, we're seeing a lot of issues with sleep deprivation, where people aren't sleeping. They're getting to bed very late. So encourage that if that's at all possible. Take some rest. Shut the TV off. Let's all just sit there and relax in the couch together and fall asleep. Take a nap. Eat healthy foods and snacks if that's available to you. I love this one. Wear comfy clothes. What a great idea. I think I wear shorts all day and a t-shirt, and that's comfy to me. So that's something to consider. Be comfortable, at least, in your environment. And most of all, take care of your health. You know, if you feel sick, see that doctor. See if you're feeling sad or depressed, and you know what's going on for a long time, seek out a referral for mental health counseling. It's a great experience. It allows people to really open up and to make that system even better. So again, I can't emphasize this enough. We tend to think like linearly, the son's going this way and the daughter's going this way and the dad and the mother, and we don't tend to, if somebody's having a problem, we think that they may be solving it on their own, or it's going to be all right, but it is actually affecting everybody within the family. So eventually the whole system gets disrupted. These are just some ideas just to keep an eye out, to look for. I'm sure the majority of you are already doing this. But also just to reaffirm what we're hearing a lot for parents is, yes, it is happening. There's a lot more some depression, some anxiety issues that are coming up, especially with our adolescents. With the young ones, just a lot of confusion. Maybe they're frightened. They don't know what to expect. And then, of course, with the teachers themselves are experiencing a lot of stress. It's very stressful to be able to teach the children from a camera. I can't imagine even doing that. Talking to you right now to a camera is very difficult, so I can't imagine what a teacher's going through with all their children. That would be very, very hard to do. But with all those things in mind, I think if you could just really put that together, reevaluate, re-look at how your family is formed, and do it as a unit. Get together. Just sit around the table and go, where are we going wrong? What are we doing right? What are some cool things we're doing? And then come up with some ideas. How can we make this better? How can we improve on our lives, and how can we beat what's going on? How can we not let this defeat us? Again, today was a new experience for me, walking into Mass, and I was like, oh my gosh, the doors are open. This was kind of neat. I was a little shocked, to be honest, but it was neat to see it. Yeah, we're all separated, we're in Mass, but the family units are coming back together. So that is really all I have, and I appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'm sure we can get these resources and some materials to you whenever you need. So thank you so very much for listening, and you guys have a great, blessed day.